Say good evening, everyone. Let us all stand. Once again, Lord, we come together and we thank you for blessing us to see this day and to give us life and health and strength. And just to bless us, Lord, to be able to conduct the business of the county. We thank you for all you do and all the blessings you bestow upon us. We ask now, Lord, that you give us wisdom and understanding to take care of the business at hand. We thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on our agenda is we call our May 19th night meeting to order. We don't have any minutes for the night meeting. Our agenda adjustments, we have one item we want to include under section 8, item 11. We need to add budget amendment for the HABAC units at GITS and the dental clinic. If there are no other adjustments, we'll call for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. Our next item will be our unannounced delegations. Do we have any citizens who want to speak? Mr. Tom Moore. Yes, by the podium, please.
Good evening. My name is Tom Morgan. I serve on the Gates County Technical Review Committee, and I've served on that since it was formed, which has given me a chance to see what precedents have been established and have some idea of the county codes. I'm only a member of this committee that serves as a volunteer. Everyone else on the committee is on the clock with their various departments. I appreciate the trust that you've placed in me to serve on this committee. I try to prepare thoroughly for each project brought before us. On our meeting of May 15, 2014, it was to discuss the proposed minor subdivision for 2 lots east of Stony Lane in Merchants Commerce Park, which is a major subdivision. And that is, and the plat for the proposed subdivision did label it as part of Commerce Park. This proposed subdivision is not a minor subdivision, but an expansion of a major subdivision. Most of the members of the committee have their budgets for jobs determined by the county. The county manager was the present at the meeting and insisted that the county ordinance is poorly written and needs amendment as a reason to pass this project as a minor subdivision. He stated that a lawsuit would likely result if it were not passed. A vote was taken and it was passed. The result of this is a terrible precedent for our subdivision ordinance. The reduction in cost and time to the developer are an indirect subsidy to this individual and could result in lawsuits from past developments that were not allowed this advantage and are no longer able to take this advantage. I have no doubt that the county manager sincerely believes that this action is in the best interest of the county, but I'm not sure why. I also have no doubt that he has consulted with some of you on this project. My question to you, is it your will as a body to ignore our existing subdivision ordinance to benefit a single entity? If so, please explain why it is in the interest of the county, and if so, please make your stand here with your vote.
Thank you, Tom. All right. The next item would be our announced delegations. Do you have any no announced delegations? No administrative reports. No public hearings. And we'll go to our old business, which will be our personnel committee recommendations.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, can we comment on Mr. Morgan's, what he just said?
Yes.
I have been dealing with subdivisions for 40 years also plus. And Mr. Morgan is exactly right. This property has had several minor subdivisions already, even though they were not called so. The property was, there were 2 lots laid off from the property back when it was Ms. Jimmy Hand's property. Then the property was bought out by another company which surveyed the entire property and broke it up into 5 parcels, all over 10 acres, which was fine. In doing so, they put a note on there that the 2 lots that were already approved were going to be nullified. That's fine too. Then there was a recombination, so-called recombination of those 5 parcels, broken into 5 other parcels. One of those parcels was 3 acres of land, which by definition creates a subdivision. It was called a recombination because there were only 5 parcels made out of 5 parcels. But in reality, that was another subdivision. Then there was the major subdivision, which was 5 lots. That was another subdivision. Now it is called a major, which that's what it should be. Now this second one that wants to be, or the third minor that comes up now that wants to be called a minor, is not legitimate for several reasons. At first, because the minor has already been used, even though it wasn't named minor. The Commerce Street is extended through these 2 lots, even though the words were not written on there, the street is on there. Our subdivision ordinance says a minor cannot, it is not a minor if the street is extended. A new street is created, right of way created, or an old one extended. It cannot be a minor. Also says the utilities cannot be extended. It will not be a minor. All of this is in our subdivision ordinance. I agree with Mr. Tom Morgan that if we do this now and start working around our recorded and regulated subdivision ordinance, we've got a lot of explaining to do.
Commissioner Belton, I appreciate your position and your discussion, but in fairness to the other commissioners, at least to myself, I've not had an opportunity to look into this, to review the subdivision ordinance. I have it here in front of me, and I think in all fairness, before we can have a debate on the merits or non-merits of this, we should be given an opportunity to look this over. Let's look at the issue that we're talking about and look at what happened. And once we do that, then we individually can make a decision and even take a position. But at this particular point in time, this is the first that I'm hearing of it, that there was some concerns with it. And it's not fair to debate on something when one person has had the opportunity to thoroughly investigate it and another one has not. So, I can appreciate your knowledge of the situation, but certainly as a board member, I do not want to take a position at this particular time until I have time to study it.
Understand that there is no objection whatsoever to the lots themselves. It's just to the procedure for which they've been asked to be approved.
Well, there again, we have not had an opportunity to look at that. Now, in order to discuss it and have a debate about it, I think we need time to prepare for it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you know, I'm concerned about the several things that have happened in the last 6 months. A lot of things have not followed the policies and procedures that have been established by the governing board, the commissioners, over the past years. And you know, when you start going down that slippery slope, that's not a good thing. Before I came to this meeting tonight, I had 2 people call me in different departments about concerns that they were having. I think we need to take a look at a lot of things that have gone on and have a kind of clearing of the deck, so to speak. Now, this TRC meeting, I've talked to some of the people on that committee. My understanding, there was no quorum. There are 9 members. I believe only, 4 people were there. And one of those was not on the board. I understand a motion was made not by a member of the TRC committee. I think that's highly irregular. And, you know, but I think that we really need to, all of us as commissioners, need to be informed. I agree with the point you're saying, that maybe it's not right now, we can debate it. But I think before actions go forward on a lot of these issues that are confronting the board in recent days and weeks, we need to have a thorough discussion and an open discussion. Let's be transparent. I think the citizens of the county do that. You know, if it's good, a light shining on it will do no harm. If you're trying to slip something under the table, the light shining on it, yeah, it might be harmful. So I think we need to come up front and share and let everybody in the county know what's happening.
Sir, Kenny, you have anything you want to add there?
Well, I'm sorry there is this difference of opinion, and I'll be glad to talk to the board members individually and explain the situation as it stands. Obviously, there's differences of opinion as to what the rules say and they don't say.
All right, I think at this time, I think we need to get the county manager. Let's take a look at the subdivision ordinance. I have a copy of it. You know, obviously, right now, this is not the time to get into this kind of review and this type of briefing. So make sure that all the commissioners get a copy of the subdivision ordinance. Well, it's available on the website, and we need to be pointed out as to what is the issue, and we can talk about it. Okay?
Do you have a revision date on the copy you have?
This is revision last amended 2009. It may not be the latest revision. So I don't know, is that latest revision?
I think so.
Yeah.
Latest was 2010.
2010?
2010.
Yeah, okay.
And this was, Mr. Chairman, I mentioned this, now you're talking about debating at a later time, which that's fine, I'm all for that. The reason I mentioned this is because this was presented to the TRC, the way I understand it, the way it was reported to me, as being an emergency. It had to be done right now. And we see that quite often, but it's nothing that needs to be done right now. If it follows the set out procedures, then there's no problem.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that, because there's some issues that we have to look at and try to put it on a fast track because of various timelines. And, you know, if we're going to do that, we might as well fold shop and tell the citizens of Gates County, we don't want anything for you. You know, we're just going to sit here and debate everything. So.
But shouldn't we follow the procedures that are in the books now?
Certainly.
That's all we're asking.
And as a board, we have the opportunity to make changes to the procedures if we see that they need to be. So.
But that has to be done after you can't do that after the fact. changes would have to come before it.
Okay. All right.
Could I say something? As a member of the TRC,
Please come.
as a member, my name is Renee McGinnis, tax administrator. As actually not really a legal member of the board of the TRC committee, because I am not listed in the ordinance. I was asked to come on the committee later, but I do think it has been brought out, and it really wasn't even mentioned, and I think Tom will agree with this in the meeting the other day, that we truly didn't have quorum, even if you include myself. And with that being the case, does it need to be stated in this meeting for the record that basically anything that was done in that meeting was nullified because of that?
Mr. Chairman, it may be the fact that I was I did not realize who was a member of the town advisory committee and who was not. Because a lot of people, some people came, some people didn't, and I thought the people that came were on the committee. Technically, we don't have anything approved yet by the TAC because we don't have a majority of the board members there of the TAC to approve anything. So as of right now, there is no approval of anything.
I think when the technical review board views something, that is the last approving authority. Those issues don't come to us.
That's correct.
How
No,
many-
no, sir, that's not
And
correct.
I think in the ordinance, when I went back and read the ordinance, we can actually pass them to the planning board if we so choose.
In fact, that's what the ordinance says. After your discussion, it goes to the planning board.
Or even, I don't even think we have to make the decision if we feel like it, we can just recommend it to the planning board. Is that the way?
Yes.
What is a quorum, excuse me, what is a quorum for the,
It would be 5.
okay. Thank you for all the information, and here again, I say
Thank
to
y'all.
everyone that we need an opportunity. Appreciate you bringing it to us, but we need an opportunity to take a look at this. And until we can take a look at it, there can be no constructive debate going forward until we have all facts. And so, like I said, we will revisit it, and we will take a look at it and see what needs to be done. All right? All right, the next item on our agenda will be our Personnel Committee recommendations from our last Personnel Board meeting. And you have them before you. I'm going to turn it over to the county manager, let him, I think we've got 3 items that we need to make a decision on.
Yes, sir. I think the first item, they're kind of described in the memo that I wrote to the Personnel Committee, and it describes on page 8 in the agenda the items. The first one are the job descriptions that were modified, and the new job descriptions are in your agenda. For the county planner, the public facilities director, the public utilities director, the public utility supervisor, and the planning and permitting technician, with the effective dates of those job descriptions. Do you want to take one section at a time?
Okay, let's look at one at a time. These were brought before the Personnel Board, and we reviewed those job descriptions, revisions, and we felt that they were good as presented. We tweaked them a little bit, made a few changes, but you have them before you, and we'd like to get them approved so they can be implemented on the dates that's been designated here. there's no discussion, we'd like no pleasure of the board to move forward on these.
There were no, if we call these bullet points in each one, there's no new bullet points added to either one of them?
Now, the county planner, the only thing we added to that was under work functions, on the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth paragraph, we added to those duties also required to update the official zoning maps and coordinate the updating of the GIS website. That was something we felt we needed. We talked to Renee about that and trying to stay on top of that. And that was added to that one. I think Commissioner Hopper, you also wanted the next paragraph represents the county on committees and boards, review and recommends changes to ordinances as they pertain to physical development functions. But other than that, it's basically the same as what was presented before.
And you want to take each one on its own merit? Is that what you
Well,
said?
it would probably be faster, I mean, unless you have individual issues. We can go through all of the public facilities director. That would be, I believe, Crystal.
Crystal is.
Right, that's Crystal's job. She reports directly to the county manager. And the public utilities director, that would be Timmy. And the public utilities supervisor would be Frank. And the planning and permitting technician, I believe, is Valerie.
That's correct.
Just one question on the public utilities supervisor. And I just asked the question because I get phone calls quite often from him. Has this been discussed with him?
Yes. He met with me in my office.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would make a motion that we rely on the Personnel Board's deliberation and changes to the documents and accept them as presented.
All right. Motion on the floor. Have a second. I'll second that motion. Any further discussion?
My question would be on further discussion. I know there's been some new stuff put right at the bottom as far as the experience and those type of things. Is this going to affect anybody's job as far as them being released or anything like that?
No.
No,
Everybody's safe in their own job.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. All right, Rick, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next one is pay for doing inspector zoning certifications, and This is kind of a clarification that currently it's 1.5% or the closest step. And this, what we're proposed here is a 2%, and this keeps it on the same pay step, keeps it on a step for building inspectors getting new certifications. Also, it gives incentive for the part-time inspector position to get certifications, and that person would also receive a 2% pay increase. This is an hourly rate, and each time they got a different certification, they would get a 2% increase in pay based on an hourly rate. There is no increase right now for part-time inspectors, so there's not much incentive to go out and get additional certifications.
I think one of the things that we were concerned about when we talked about this was to make sure that when they go out and get a new certification, that there's some kind of commitment to the county. Because some of these certifications the county pays for. And the policy in place now requires that at least remain with the county employment for 1 year. All right. What is the pleasure of the board for the building inspector earning certifications and obtaining pay increases as a result of those certifications?
Ms. Hoffa, were you involved in
Yes, sir.
this part of it?
Yes, sir. The only question I had during that time is, was there any cap on the number of certifications a person could obtain? Because in the construction fields, there are many.
They, to get the job, first of all, you have to have a level 1 in each of the 4 certifications. And most likely, everybody that goes in that position would not get higher than a level 2, because there's just no need to get higher than a level 2 for most things in this county. So you're looking at 4 certifications. The fire inspection is done by Billy, and so they don't need to get a fire certification. So there's 4 other ones that they would most likely be eligible to obtain.
But they can go up to, you have steps 1, 2, 3, and 4.
They can go to 3 level 3s. They can go to level 3s. So if they wanted to, they could get 8 certifications instead of 4. But it might be a lot of work for no reason.
So it sounds like that the number that we would allow a person to get wouldn't be across the board. It might have to be different for a planning department versus another department altogether, or even a
Well,
position.
I don't think the certifications on the old departments is in question. They don't have any step certifications are you aware of any?
No, sir. No, ma'am.
It's just in the construction, in the building. But you have mechanical and electrical,
They have to be certified.
Yeah, they get 1 certification.
and they have to have ones to get the job.
Right.
So they wouldn't be.
So it sounds like one rule would suffice for all employees. Okay.
But that was the question I had. Okay.
All right. What is the pleasure of the board? For building inspector earning certification? Everybody speak at once.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
again, this is what the personnel board does. It researches these things, and again, we're not all the commissioners are in on that meeting, so we're depending on the efforts of you and Ms. Hoffler. But I certainly know that y'all would spend a great deal of time on it, and I move that we accept the recommendation of the Personnel Committee on the matter.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Owens. We have a motion on the floor to accept the recommendation of the Personnel Board. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been motioned second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay.
The last item is pay plan for the social services employees. It's on page 12 and 13, described in your agenda. And you notice you have numbers on your pages now.
Thank you.
That's helpful.
Some discussion about that. The pay plan is basically 2 to 3% increases for most of the social services employees. There is one situation where the employee had got a 5% raise, but that was because of the difference, the steps that you had to keep between certain employees. It's unfortunately because of the state pay plan guidelines, it's a fair short-term solution to the pay situation at social services. It probably needs to be looked at again by a professional, and Jeff can comment on that also. But it is a fair short-term solution to keep the social services employees competitive with their pay with other counties.
Also, let me add that this new pay plan was developed and designed by our previous county manager, and he did it based on his knowledge. But when you begin to apply the step differences that the DSS pay falls into our plan, there's a problem with what the state requires. The state requires a step between each one. And when you begin to put those steps, in some cases there are going to be quite a bit of raise. And so Ken and Jeff worked on that, and they were able to adjust the grades that we have, the DSS employees in the grades that we have, so that it would not give raises that were totally out of kilter, if you will. So I think they did a great job in trying to put this together. It took a lot of detail and comparisons and review, and we have a pretty consistent pay increase of 1%, possibly 2%, and there may be 1 or 2 that got a little bit more than that. But you have to follow state guidelines and maintain those grade separations. But at the same time, going into this new pay plan, we didn't want to make it a time to really have a bonus cash in. As Ken said, we really do, as a board, need to have a pay study of our employees. We need to get a consultant in here. We've done it. We did it once at Albemarle Commission for their employees, and to get a professional to look at it instead of trying to use something that really doesn't meet all of our needs. Jeff, did you have something to add on it?
I'll be happy to answer. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Jeff?
Jeff, I would ask, have you ever been involved with someone doing a pay study?
I've never been involved, but as Henry and Ken said, with our staff being under the State Personnel Act, because with some of our funding, we have to be in a merit-based personnel system, and the State Personnel Act qualifies as that, since a lot of our funding is through federal. And what it requires is that we maintain those degrees of separation for occupational grades. And we have, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, every position is not the same occupational grade. I think we have positions that fall underneath 5. And if you go on the Office of State Human Resources website, you'll see every position in my agency. There'll be the position and the grade on the state. It'll give you a number. And you'll see the next position, and you'll see that degree of separation in between that. And I think it's pretty similar with the school system as well. I refer with Ms. Hoffler, but so you have to maintain that on the county level as well. The numbers really don't make a difference whether it's a 1 and a 3 and it's a 58 and a 60 on the state pay grade. It's that degree of separation. So that's some of the challenges that we were facing in this grading step plan. And as County Manager Mr. Winley said, and Ms. Hoffler and Chairman Jordan, we looked at it in the Personnel Commission trying to, accomplish the goals of a pay increase without it being, disproportionate across the board, and where, other county employees, maybe about 1 or 2, are just, you can't justify 14 or 15% for someone. So trying to keep it within that range, but when you don't have something that moves uniformly, forward, and that was something that we didn't see there. We were trying to do that.
What we're talking about is data and statistics.
Right.
Right. So would it make sense that the person who did the study might not even need to come to the county? We send them the statistics on our employees, break it out into the departments, and they work from there, or is it?
I think that'd be a better question, but Mr. Winley could probably answer.
What I'm familiar with, I was familiar with the Albemarle Commission, because we as a board, we talked with the consultant and approved their contract, and we have discussions with them. And one of the things that they like to do is to interview the employees and talk with them, make sure that everything that's in their job description is captured, and make sure that when they're assigning a pay level, that it is commensurate with what those responsibilities are, so that they can make an accurate decision on what it should be.
So they're sort of checking the value of that classification against what the interview would show. Okay.
And I might add, I can't think of the top of my head how many employees the commission has. I don't know, 25?
26, I think, because we're talking about insurance.
Right. But it was a very reasonable contract. It was not, I want to say, less than $10,000. But it was very productive in making sure that everybody was in the right classification, and some did not get raises because they were in the right place, but some did get some, and it came out the way it should.
Well, for the matter of the discussion among the board, I would be, it's something that we've been talking about a great deal, and it's something we've looked at in closed session several times. I would be in favor of looking into who's available to do it, and what a contract would look like if we wanted to take that step. And I'd like to solicit what the board members think.
My question would be, are you going to hold it strictly to social services, or are you going to do the whole county? All the employees?
I would say whole county, all the employees.
That would be my choice also.
If the study is done, certainly it would have to be the whole county, all county employees. But we've just done this thing. Let's see how this works out. you know, let's get this in place. We haven't even finished getting this one in place.
Yeah. And that, again, it's something that,
I mean, I'm not against it, but I think it could be in the future.
yes. All right. We have the DSS pay plan adjustment for those employees. What is the pleasure of the board? Based on recommendation of the personnel board. Everyone speak at once. Well, I'm on the board.
Yeah, that's why I'm not doing it, because I'm on the board. I think it should come from somebody else.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I would like to say let's take the board's recommendations and go ahead and put this in place, what your recommendations are. But I'd also like to throw out there by next July the 1st, next year, that this study be done before July 1st of next year. And I put that in my motion. That would give you basically 1 year to get this study done. And to be able to look at it with some recommendations.
Okay. Motion being accept this personnel board recommendations. With this a directorate, or is it a recommendation to do
I'll be part of my motion that it be done by July 1st. I mean, it might not get a second, but it gives them 1 year. It gives the county, I'm not gonna be here next year. We all know that.
Well, as we're discussing the motion, would the motion be framed that a consultant
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
would be contacted and bring it before the board, because we'd have to vote on the
Right,
contract.
that's right, that's right.
We can't say that we'd have to decide the merits of what the costs are.
Right.
Okay, I think you understand the motion.
No, my motion was to accept this as it is tonight,
Right.
with the additional part of the motion being have a study done within 1 year.
I'll bring a contract before,
Or bring a contract in
before the board.
before the board.
Okay, everyone's good. All right. Melissa, do you have that? All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the recommendation for the social service employees, and also to bring a contract for a professional consultant to do a pay study within 1 year, before July 1st of next year. Okay?
Okay.
Need a second?
That doesn't tie our hands, so I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been motion and second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Commissioner Jernigan's motion is to consult to approach a consultant.
Approve what we have.
I know to approve what we have here, but what was it about the consultant? How did he have that phrase?
To bring a consultant contract before the board.
It gives you 1 year to bring a consultant in, have a study done with some recommendations.
Now, that's the
No,
whole.
that's not what I heard.
That's not what I heard.
Okay.
I heard that we have a to consult a consultant
Yeah.
about doing a pay.
Yeah, my second is that a consultant will bring a contract to us saying, I'll do the study, and this will be the price tag before we.
Okay, I don't get it.
We cannot guarantee
Right.
what the board will vote on when they bring it.
Right.
But we can.
Well, if this study's gonna cost $100,000, we can do it. I certainly hope you throw it back out.
Right. So it's gonna be dependent on what it's for.
Right.
We will bring one. Commissioner Harper, you okay with that?
Yes, we're just going to bring it back to us.
Right. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. So that's one of the action items that we'll add to our list. Get a consultant contract for discussion. All right, I believe that's all for our personnel action.
Yes, sir.
Next item is new business, and we have municipal here with us. In our last meeting, our meeting before that, we have to, the site that we had looked at to get it approved for a spray field, it has to have NCDENR analysis. And Ken has worked with municipal to modify the contract to take care of that portion and all of the ancillary work that needs to go along with that.
Correct.
And
Just for the evaluation of the property, does not involve any construction.
and you have that contract before us. Mike, do you want to, this is Mike?
It's Mike McAllister with Municipal Engineering, and I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all might have. I think it's, I hope I've got everything spelled out clearly enough for you, but I'll be glad to elaborate on any questions.
I think one of the things that we were concerned about was the fact that obviously before we can do anything, we got to get NCD approval. The timeline as far as getting them here to do an analysis to tell us that, you know, this soil is acceptable. What can we expect? And
Well, what I plan to do is this week, I'm going to contact the Washington Regional Office. I'm going to have them come out and do the exact same thing that I've had them do one time before with the properties and take a look at it and see if they concur with my evaluations, because they're the ones that's going to have to make the ultimate call. Then once I have that, then I'll have a little bit more comfort level that we'll have to get the soil scientist and agronomist and all of the pieces put together before we can actually design the spray field to get the permit. But really all this is what they're going to tell you. This is not a commitment to permit, but they're basically going to say that they concur that they believe that it is permittable.
so what about the getting the permit? And how long?
Now getting the permit, there used to be a fast track process, and for some reason or another, DENR has done away with that. I'm not real sure why, but there's some pieces that have to be done before I can even start designing the actual spray field itself. They'll have to be done by a soil scientist, and they're going to have to come out here with machinery and run some hydraulic conductivity tests and look at the soils and so forth and write a report and tell me what the actual application rate will be. And we may find that once they do their work, we may not have to use as many acres as we originally thought. My numbers are based on a very, very conservative estimate using the USDA soil survey book. So hopefully they'll give us some good news. But that piece has got to be done before we can really apply to the DENR to get a permit.
And certainly any assistance we might have from our representatives could help that process if need be, possibly, as far as
It could. DENR has been, I will say the Washington Regional Office especially has been very good to work with. We have not experienced the delays that we did at one time. Things have been pushing through a whole lot quicker. And the objective with us is we need to get our part done as expeditiously as possible to make sure we get the package in their hand so they can do their evaluation.
and this is one of the items that's needed in order to secure the grants that we have in place. And we're trying to respond to our grantors as well, and let them know that that this part of the grant agreement is in place. questions for Mike, municipal? All right, we have the contract before us, and what is the pleasure of the board?
I believe we stated that this contract includes no physical, no
This is designed
design.
only, does not include any grant administration, does not include bid and award, nor construction phase services.
Right.
That will be under a separate contract.
Mike, do you, I know it's not in here, but the number of acres that you're thinking that we might be able to use at this location? I know you said it was based on your own findings, but
I think the area that we're looking at that's pretty much already cleared, of course it's grown up with weeds a little bit, that's about what was out there today, actually looking at it again. That area, I believe, is certainly going to have the best soils. At least that's what I found. The areas to the I guess to the right and left of the property as you're standing on 158. One problem with those soils is the slopes are such that it's not conducive for spray field, and then when you get over to the left side, you're starting to get into some wet areas over there. So, plus I think we've got a perennial stream out here we've got to deal with too. So we'll have to have some buffers with that. So I'm hopefully optimistic that we'll get some better application rates than what I used, but I have no guarantee. And just so you know, that same study will also tell us what size the lagoon needs to be, because they will actually do a water balance and compute the amount of wet weather storage that we need to have in the lagoon.
According to this expense report, we've spent so far $1,357,268.91 on this private development. Not all of that is county money. $761,495 is county money. And so this is in addition to that, what we're talking about now.
This is reimbursable, and the $761,000 that we've spent, if we want to recoup some of that, we would need to try to secure these grants so that we can recoup that. If you don't have the grants, the money you've spent is not recoupable.
Well, that money is out of the general fund and the water fund. That's already been spent. That's not grant money.
It's reimbursable. You submit for reimbursement of those funds that have been expended on grants. You know, we're going to spend our citizens' money. We've spent $750,000, as you pointed out. We've done that on the basis that these grants have been awarded. And, you know, to take a position that, you know, I've spent county money and and this project has got flaws, you're spending citizens' money and not trying to recoup it.
It says here that the total county cost to date to being reimbursed by grant would be $345,000.
That's CDBG.
And that's one of the grants that we will lose those funds. That we have already received $350,000 from CDBG. If we do not satisfactorily provide them with the updates on where we are with this project and moving forward, then we'll have to pay that $350,000 back that we've already received.
Okay, I just asked a question. This is to be added to this that's already been spent, 1.3 million.
The $115,000, it will be added, it's reimbursable, it will be added to what's being spent, but it will be reimbursed once you do the draw on your grants.
So basically, Mr. Chairman, what you're trying to express is that the grants require us to spend dollars first, being reimbursed later.
You have to spend them first. Your CDBG was the only one that allowed the county, and Sandy, you can verify, that we could draw on that, or did we?
As we went.
As we went. The EDA grant, the project will have to be finished before we draw on that $900,000. But those are all reimbursable funds. So all these dollars that's been spent now, if you don't move forward, you're going to cost the citizens of this county $1.6 million, whatever you pointed out, because the ball was dropped. So
Well, the board knows my standing on this, and that is, we're doing these things so that this assisted living facility can come, and now the assisted living facility has required us to show that we have future spray field development because of our capacity.
not the assisted living, but the grant.
Well,
Right.
with the coming of this assisted living
Right.
facility, we have to show that we have capacity, because we will reach
80%.
we're at 80%. So, so we're, for all of this whole ball to move forward, these dominoes, I guess you could say, here's a requirement, here's a requirement.
Exactly.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
when we got started on this project, though, we had a sewer system that we were going to improve that existed at the old prison, and we made the upgrades there. Then we were told it was not have enough capacity, and that we had to have a null spray field. Now we have gone back, and currently its standing is that we don't need the capacity. We have enough capacity with the old system for the assisted living. Is that correct or not?
Well, we do not have, we are at 3/4 or 80% of our capacity now. With
But
this
because our spray field has not been kept up to prime condition, that it has, I have looked back in the minutes, and we said last August about reseeding, and that was not even the first time we asked about the reseeding. The trees had grown up on the spray field down in the honey pot, that those trees had to be removed, they had to be reseeded to bring it back up to capacity. None of that has been done. I mean, the trees have been cut, I'll grant you that, trees have been cut, but no reseeding has been done to bring it up to capacity.
In the next 2 weeks.
The reseeding, the weather has not permitted some of the reseeding.
Since August, the weather has not been permitted.
Let me just say, we inherited a 25,000 per gallon per day sewage system. The state of North Carolina came and they recertified it to 15,000 because of the things you pointed out. Now, mind you, we've only had this for about 3 years or 2 years.
Some of, Ms. Hoffman, maybe I can answer some of that. Some of the problems that you're talking about actually occurred when the Department of Corrections had it. It was, my understanding, was not maintained like it should have been. So some of that damage was done before the county got hold of it.
Oh,
That's my
I agree, I'm
Yeah.
sure of that, but we have had time to correct some of it.
Yes, ma'am. But I did visit that site with the state and tried to see if they would allow us to go back up on the flow. And because of the significant runoff that had happened down in the woods, I don't know if you've been out there lately, but the spray heads around the perimeter near the woods are cut off. So we don't have as many spray heads out there operating. And the overseeding that you refer to has not been done. That was the 2 notes that they made to me the day that I went out there.
Those spray fields, if I may ask, Mr. Chairman, those spray heads that you're talking about around the field there,
Yes,
were they've been closed off at recommendation of the state?
yes.
Okay.
And that was because of the runoff that was going into the woods. Basically what has happened is, and this is what I've been told, I don't know if this to be a fact, but I was told that the operator was responsible for 3 spray fields that belonged to Department of Corrections, and he would cut one on in the morning, and he would make a circle and come back 8 hours later and cut it off. That's not the way you operate a spray field. So, unfortunately, y'all have just inherited something that, apparently wasn't exactly what you thought it was.
In your professional opinion, do you think we could get it back up to the maximum flow?
I don't know if we could get it up to the maximum flow. I have asked the Washington Regional Office. I visited with them on site. I've been out there twice with them trying to see if they would be willing to do that. But until some remediation efforts are made, I don't think they don't even want to talk about it at this point.
The spray heads that are shut off, the design of those, were they designed too close to the woods, or is it just the slope and the run and the?
It's the slope and the runoff back there. And
So the
because
design is okay?
the design was okay, but what happened was by the continuous overspraying, it bound up the soils and it's running off down in the woods. And you can see where it's actually rutted off and running down through the woods back toward the streams. And that's why they derated the field. Because that's the one thing you cannot have with land application is runoff.
And also, even when we reseed it, that's not a guarantee that it will increase the capacity.
There's no guarantee.
That is basically saying that maintains the 15,000.
Yes. And once we get it rehabilitated, we can bring them back out there again and try again. I'll be willing to get the guys back out there again. They've been very helpful and very upfront with me about it.
Do you have a feel for after seeded, any rehabilitation that, what you're talking about, is that reseeding taking care of it itself?
Yeah.
Going forward, is it a period of time, 2 years, 2.5 years?
It might take a couple of years to get the soils amended back. The day that I was out there was probably back in, I want to say February, I guess. The only thing that was really mowed was the lanes where the spray heads were. And the grass was probably up, probably hip high, and was actually bending over. And of course, that's hold a lot more moisture than it really should. So, I mean, there may be some possibilities we can get it remediated. I cannot answer that. That's a question for the state.
Well, I noticed in the article from the Roanoke Charm News Herald dated May 25th, 2011, that the EDA is one financial source the county is using to expand its infrastructure. Those funds can be used to expand our existing wastewater treatment center, upgrade it to handle a capacity of 50,000 gallons per day. Its current rate is 25 gallons per day. That was way back in 2011. Was that an incorrect statement?
I can't speak to what was done before I came on board.
So we're in upgrading the 25,000 to 50,000. However, the spray field that 25,000 has now, that won't hold 50,000. So you've got to have an additional spray field to cover the additional 50,000 that we're going to. Now,
It neither contains the storage nor the soils have the capacity to go to 50,000 in that space.
Well, shouldn't that have been told somewhere sooner than tonight?
I would think so, but I was not here at that point in time, so I can't speak to.
you said something told sooner than.
I mean, shouldn't we have been told that sometime sooner than, this is about the spray field.
We've been talking about.
I know we've been talking about spray fields, but, it was never that the original one was supposed to have been adequate. And then it wasn't adequate, and then we came up with a second spray field. Now we've got it back to it's adequate. I mean, it's hard.
Well, you know, we both of you making good points. Our current circumstances is that we have been a victim of poor management of the sewer system. We haven't had a professional with experience on board, and chime in, Mike, if you choose to agree or speak to it. But what's happened is we've been a victim of not having the right care of our facility. None of us are sewer experts, and that's what we've been lacking. If we had that, but we needed it. Some damage had probably been done before we were receiving the facility.
It was, according to the
So
state.
some of that's there.
Yes.
I mean, we're told, like Ms. Hopper says, we're told it's a 25,000 per day gallon capacity facility, and we take that at its word. For example, Ms. Hopper's got it in print over here, so we take
I have
that.
whole stack.
Yeah, so we take that at face value, and with us not being experts and not having a sewer system, or sewer plant system manager, we don't know any different. And now we're being blindsided with additional cost to purchase spray field land, engineering, future infrastructure costs, and things of that nature. However, we're also faced with the projects that we want to bring, the project that's sitting on the table, Meridian. That answers a lot of questions for the county, brings a lot of revenue to the county, brings 50 jobs to the county.
Right.
So those things can't be ignored. I wish we could turn back the clock, correct all these things I mentioned, but I can't do that.
I wish I had better answers for you. I mean, I've only been involved with this since probably, I think, end of October of last year. I think it's when I first probably came up and talked to you all. I can't sit here and say what a previous engineer did or did not do, nor would I do that for ethical reasons. But, I can only tell you where we are from that date moving forward.
Well, to speak to one point Ms. Hoffman made that I'm not pleased about is that there has been some good planning season for reseeding that property prior to Ken coming here.
Right.
When our previous county manager was here, and we talked about it several times. When is it going to be reseeded? When is it going to be reseeded? Of course, I realize right now, Ken, we can't do that because of the inclement weather, but because it's too wet out there to do it properly. But here again, nothing's happening.
I don't disagree. I mean, the worst thing you can do is when it's soggy wet, is to go in there and take heavy equipment in there, and you'll diminish the capacity even further at this point. Obviously, you've had some periods that you could have done that. I don't disagree. As to why it wasn't done, I can't answer that question.
Well, we had hired Kavanaugh to be our engineers, correct?
Yes, we did.
And quoting from our past county chairman, Toby Chappell, they did a good job of preparing us for what we would see, what we had to have. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that we weren't alerted to. So everybody evidently thought they were doing a great job. the prior chairman, Twine, said, we use Kavanaugh because that's what they specialize in, wastewater treatment plants. It was money well spent to get us to this point for our future. And that was in November, on November 11th, 2011. So everybody thought they were doing a great job.
So Mike, not to point fingers, but if you had gone out there, let's not put your date again,
November 11th, 2011. It was in the Roanoke Tryon Herald.
belong in the early days when we acquired the sewer by inheritance,
That's
you
right.
could see the damage that was taking place out there.
Let me be very careful, because I do not want to stand here and disparage another engineer. I can only tell you what steps that I would have taken. And the first step that I would have taken would have got the Washington Regional Office out there to look at it before we'd gone any further.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Own up to it, and what did
Yes.
we do?
That would have been my recommendation to you, is to get the guys with the state to go look at it before the transfer was even made.
Mr. Chairman, I know that we need to move forward. I can't change the past. So I'm going to ask you, Mike, if we hire you to do this engineering,
Mhm.
I realize that you're across the road on this other plot is where your engineering is going to take place.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your engineering. How far is it going to come back to our current plant? And will it include any advice, counseling on the current spray field?
I will have the individuals that's going to be doing the soils evaluation. One of the things that I asked them about doing was to go over and take a look at the field and offer their advice toward remediation. And it may be that the folks that I'm looking at using, the individual, he was at one time on the Environmental Management Commission. We may be able to get something worked out with the state. I cannot promise you anything, but that's the goal, is to have the soil scientist and the agronomist out there meet with the geologist and the soil scientist with the Washington Regional Office and see if we can get some additional capacity. Whether you'll get 25,000 gallons a day again, I have to kind of doubt it based on what they're telling me, but we may be able to get some more. I mean, if you can get, 5 more and take it up to 20, every little bit helps.
Is that expertise in that type of language that you're stating included in this figure?
That's the folks, all the list of items that we talk about, that's included in that item. It's getting them to take a look at it, and that's been my discussions with them all along. And like I say, I've had these discussions with the state at least twice, trying to feel they won't budge. Not until there's some work done to it.
All right. We have before us a contract to do the analysis and to obtain services of NC Dinner to do their assessment and testing. What is pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I know the grant work that was done a couple of weeks ago on our trip to Raleigh. I had all the people at the table.
Yes,
We told them that we were going to move forward. Were you there, Mike? or-
I was indeed.
We told them that we wanted to move forward on the project, and they bent over backwards to help us and gave us their support and assistance moving forward. They gave us some extensions. I don't want to, that money that's been spent, I want to recoup as much of it as we can. And I know that this is one of the steps that requires to take place. So I move that we accept.
Okay. And let me say that at that meeting, and we've since seen some letters since that have come to us that we're up against some tight deadlines, I think on the 31st, to submit a revised preliminary engineering report, which we had not anticipated doing, but that's something we're going to try to work very diligently here to get it back to them. The problem is with revised, I've never seen the first one, so I don't know exactly what I'm revising, but we're going to get them the information they need to try to make sure that you keep the grants in place. And they are willing to work. They have really been over backwards trying to help y'all keep it.
I recognize that. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve this contract with the municipal for engineering services.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
All right, it's been motion second that we approve the engineering contract with municipal to move forward with the assessment. Any further discussion?
You know, I don't have any qualms with you and the mechanical or municipal engineering. I just think that the situation we have been told so many things that have turned out to be incorrect. And we have not been fully informed and all the time with everything that has happened. And Commissioner Owens spoke of the meeting in Raleigh. I don't think we were fully, or I wasn't fully briefed on that meeting. I don't know, maybe you were.
Commissioner Hosmer, we sent out the audit letter.
I read the audit letter.
To all the commissioners. We sent out the response to all the commissioners.
And I read all my emails.
Right, and so that information was provided.
But sometimes it's nice to have a personal conversation about how it went. Evidently, I thought that you had talked with Mr. Commissioner Owens concerning it.
I think I called him, yeah.
And bear in mind, a lot of this things that's going on with the grants too is because of the whole grant system has been turned upside down since you started. So there's a lot of back and forth and people have moved around. So, you know, that's gone even further it's confused me. I can imagine it's confused you trying to keep up with who's doing what.
Well, even with that type of scrutiny,
Yeah.
one of the things I shared with Ken was that with what has happened in the granting process,
Yes.
and with the new people looking at it under a microscope
Hmm.
and critiquing it tighter, and then they say, yes, Gates County, it looks like your project is going to be a good project, and they give us a thumbs up
Yeah.
and make exceptions for us. I mean, that speaks a lot about what they see.
Yeah.
So I was encouraged by that.
They see it as a promising project. And, you know, and I'm pleased that we were able to get, Dina was able to work with you on the flows to get the Meridian thing in place. That was a big plus. Of course, now you've used all the capacity. You don't have any capacity left to put anything else on the development. So, you know, this is the next step. It's like he said, that's why EDA is wanting to see this next step before they put their money in.
All right. We have a motion, we have a second on the floor. All in favor, approving the contract, so you know, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right. We have unanimous. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Now, you will be in touch with NC Dina pretty shortly.
I will be on the phone with them now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, the next item will be our historic courthouse exterior bid. Yes.
On pages 37 and 38 in your agenda, the two bids, the valid bids we received, Rising Painting was $23,500, Rodan $48,900. We did receive a third bid that was withdrawn from Leroy Parker. And so I would recommend the board accept the low bid for the exterior work.
When will that start?
Probably within the next 30 to 45 days.
Are they going to start painting before they do the west
Well,
wing?
Power wash, I think, first.
They're not gonna do any painting or, especially on that wing that's gotta be repaired.
That's correct. They'd have to wait on that.
But it would include the west wing. After it's completed, they will come back and do
Yes,
that.
that's correct.
I'd like to ask the board if anybody's familiar with the company? I'm not.
Who is Ray's Unpainted?
Is it your address?
Really?
I have never heard of them.
They are people that the county has used before. Crystal is aware of them and has used them before, so she usually goes with people she's familiar with.
I noticed that it does not include anything about the Dynasfites and the splash plots in his bid.
Says right there, the very last one.
1/4 downspout. and-
One voice.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see that one.
Well, I love doing work with local folks. The difference between the two dollar amounts is glaring.
I asked about that myself, and what I was told is that with Rodan, they have to rent all their equipment, all of their scaffolding, all of their painting equipment, power washing equipment, whatever it takes, they have to rent all of theirs. And Verizon already owns theirs.
Is this company bonded?
Yes, sir. They'd have to be.
Do we know if they would be subbing anything out? Do we have any?
That would not be
Issues.
allowed.
Wouldn't be allowed?
No, sir.
Ms. Hoffler, I have a question from Ms. Hoffler and Chairman, being on the Historic Courthouse Committee. Have you folks talked about paint colors and pigments and all that stuff?
No, we have not talked about that. I think it would be back to the original, and the green.
Is that the cream that basically goes on it now?
I
guess?
would assume that would have been, I think when they went back, when they started painting it, I think they did. But I will check to make sure.
Yeah, the
that-
stucco siding with the cream
Cream.
colored paint is that's what they're doing, is restoring it back.
Right.
And so,
That was my understanding, that was the original.
anything different, I would have been surprised.
We're not going to do zebra stripes or anything.
All right. We have the two bids.
Yes, sir. 2 bids. The third one was withdrawn.
One for 23.5, the other was 48.
No.
Nine.
I move we accept this bid from Rice and Painting.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the license bid. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, thank you. All right, our next item would be our July Commissioner meeting date. Next meeting, I believe, on July 4th, is that right, or the week?
Second, July the
July
2nd.
2nd.
Normally it was the second.
Yeah.
Fourth of July is on Friday.
And July 4th is on Friday.
Yeah.
That's not a problem with that, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, probably what happened last year, I wanted to be out of town for the week of July 4th, and it fell on the 4th, like last year, was it Wednesday? Or was it, no, it was,
Should have been Thursday.
I wanted to be out of town, so I asked that it be moved last year, and that might be where this came from. I don't have a problem with it this year.
On the second.
On the second.
Nor did I.
All right. Okay, July 2nd seems to be an acceptable date for our regular commissioners meeting, and no action on that necessary.
Okay.
All right, we have a resolution. Next item is a resolution to approve our local water supply plan.
Want me to start, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
The resolution is something required by Diener. It's kind of an endorsement. Diener has approved the plan, and it just says that the Gates County Water Supply Plan was dated April 31st, 2013. It's hereby approved. The plan was approved between April of 2013 and April of 2014. And what it does, it just goes into basically a supply plan of what you have, the size and the amount of meters you have, the capacity we have. We're at about 55% capacity in our system right now, and don't expect to be at 80% capacity for decades. No major expansions are needed in the next 5 years. The plan has the rate structure listed in it. There's no need for any water reclamation in it. They want to know if we're interconnected with any other counties, and we are interconnected with Sherburne County and Clemens County for safety reasons. They also look at well data, how much you're drawing down, be sure everything's okay there. According to Diener, everything is fine with the county's water system. In fact, Mr. Wayne Howard of the Division of Water Resources indicated that it was one of the best plans he reviewed. So what Diener would like is a endorsement of the plan also from the Board of Commissioners from the county, in addition to their very strong support of it.
I think behind that letter you have a resolution. And on one of the items where it says, now therefore be it resolved by the Gates County Board of Commissioners of Gates County, the local water supply plan entitled blank. You need to fill that in.
Gates County Water Supply Plan, dated April 31st, 2013.
That the local water supply plan entitled.
Gates County Water Supply Plan.
So
That's
we'll
the
repeat
title.
that. Gates County water supply plan.
Yes.
Okay, that needs to go in there. And we'll get that date.
Yeah, April 31st, 2013.
Okay. All right. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we approve.
All right, the motion is second. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. All right, thank you. Our next item will be a presentation of the 2014-2015 budget for Gates County.
This is just like one we got before.
This is the budget ordinance and the budgets. What you have before you is the board budget ordinance and a message. It goes along with the information that you've been reviewing. And it's required by law that we have a budget ordinance. and that I'm presenting that to you today and ask the board if you would vote to have and receive public hearing on this at your June the 4th meeting.
Okay, this is not a time of full discussion. It's basically a time of acknowledging the presentation of the budget and receiving it and setting a date for a public hearing.
Correct.
So, what is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept this budget message and final draft
An ordinance.
budget ordinance, and secure June the 4th as a date for hearing on said document.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I would second that motion.
the motion is second that we receive the budget ordinance as presented from the county manager and set the date of June the 4th as our public hearing, approving, or hearing and approving of the budget. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, the last item on the new business would be the budget amendment for our HAVAC system. Just for it to us, I believe it's the Gitz building. Sandy, do you want to talk with us about that?
Estimates were given to me today, and I think we need to move on this. So, as you know, since it's an emergency, we really don't have funding in place for this year. We were hoping to complete these projects next fiscal year. So the budget amendment that you have before you pulls the money out of fund balance to cover these costs for $18,000, and that is for systems at the Gitz building and also out at the dental clinic.
Were they totally inoperable, or
Yes, sir.
were they operable in the first season and just got?
They've been along for a long time and finally just went out, couldn't repair them.
All right.
Are you familiar, Sandy, with the proposals, the company specifically?
Yes, we use them for numerous projects.
And they have been satisfactory.
In fact, I believe they did the system in the extension building last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they've been really good to work with.
After the delivery to site
Yes.
service?
Yes, I believe Crystal uses them on a regular basis to service units that we have as well.
I make a motion that we adopt this budget amendment.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the budget amendment number 40. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
because we're talking about AC units, I don't know if Mr. Winley would know the answer to this, but if not, I'd like for him to find it out. There have been some government entities and churches that have had their units stolen, the entire unit. And the one at the dental clinic is out there by itself late at night, and some of the Gitz is inside a fence. That fence doesn't wrap around there, but I'd like to know how well we're covered, or, you know, or is our deductible $10,000, which would,
If y'all would like, I'll be glad. What I'm familiar with is putting chain link fence and barbed wire around. If y'all would like me to pursue that also, I'll be glad to follow through on that. See if it's feasible out there at the dental clinic.
yeah, and that's certainly, like I say, look into it somehow.
Or even, theft insurance cameras or something. I don't know what the cheapest alternative would be, but certainly.
The fencing has worked for me well in the past. As long as you make it hard to get to with barbed wire on top of it.
We'll bring that research that and bring it to the board to see what the possibilities are. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have one thing. I believe that on the planning board, Joe Green, his term will expire in May, so that we will need to appoint in June a new member of the planning board to that.
It's already been appointed.
Sherwood took his place. I thought he was taking someone else's place. Okay, he comes on in June.
we're gonna get recognition.
At your next meeting.
Okay, we're going to try you.
All right, next item on the agenda would be our citizens' comments. We don't have anyone signed up. And now commissioner comments. Billy, you want to start tonight?
Well, I appreciate the few that we have out here tonight, and I probably already said enough tonight. But I do appreciate y'all coming. I want to make sure as much as possible that the citizens can know what's going on. Those of you that were here at the beginning, you know we talked a whole lot about this Merchants Commerce Center. I would love to see the public be made aware every month of how much money has been spent out there and what is going on next. The only way that you're going to know is to come and listen. So please, I encourage y'all to come, bring your friends with you, and let's get the entire population up to a knowledge level that you just, at least you're not in the dark.
Yeah, I would once again thank you all for coming. I think sometimes it's interesting to see what the county is doing. Tell your neighbors and all. And I probably have said too much, but it has been something that has weighed on my mind a lot. I really believe in following the policies and procedures that are on the books that we have currently, and I do believe in transparency. I think the more people know, the better decisions we all can make.
I also say what Ms. Hoffer just said, that, you know, and I think I told Chuck one time before, you don't change the rules in the middle of the ball game, and I still believe that. And I'm just like Ms. Hoffer. You don't change this rule, like Tom had talked about also. So this is something that really has to go back and be looked at. And I was not aware of this until tonight, but like I say, I told Chuck in a meeting in here earlier, you don't change the rules in the middle of the ball game, and you have to deal with what the rule is tonight when you make that decision. And I was glad that we didn't have to go and make that decision tonight.
Well, I want to thank everyone for bringing this debate to the table tonight. And Billy, thank you, and Ms. Hoffer for your comments concerning the sewer project. And just to go back, I want to remind everybody that I believe it was Linda made the comment: if something's right and it's good, it's okay for it to be in full light. So we need to keep that in mind as we move forward. Thank everyone for coming out. It's good to see you.
All right, I thank everyone for coming tonight and being a part of our meeting. I do thank the commissioners for a very lively meeting and having input that I think has helped us all. And I thank all the citizens for your respect of participating in the meeting and observing the way we want to carry it out. So thank you for coming. Have a great night, and hope to see you again. All right.
I move that we adjourn.
Well, do we need, I don't think we need closed session. All right, so entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.